Hello, my name is Lorraine. I'm Student Advisor and Student Support Tutor at the Hastings campus. Yes, some of you may be transferring and have already applied for your student loan. What you have to do is go onto your online tracking or call the student loan company and inform them that you're actually changing uni, and you'll have to complete a change of circumstance form. So make sure you also change your course code and be really careful when you change your uni code, because Brighton is B72. So if you haven't already applied for your loan, you need to do it as soon as possible. The best way to do it is go to direct.gov, go into Student Finance England and complete the forms online. However, sometimes people are wary of completing forms online, so do call the student loans company and they will let you have a paper copy. So my advice is get it done as soon as possible. If you are applying for a maintenance grant, and that's money so that's money you don't pay back, your parent or your guardian will also need to declare his or her household income. It's exactly the same. They can apply online just under where you are applying, or if mum and dad or your guardian prefer paper copies, exactly the same, phone student loans company and get yourself a paper copy. One of the main issues that students have when they're leaving home for the very first time and mum and dad or guardians have paid the rent and all the utility bills is, how am I going to pay my rent? Well, my advice is, if you've worked over the summer, keep the money, don't spend it all over the summer, and then draw yourself a timeline. Find out exactly how much your rent is going to be. Find out exactly how much about you're going to spend on food, and draw this timeline and say, that's my rent, that's going to be my food, and then you know what money you've got over, so you know what your cash flow is after that. But you really must concentrate on those bills that need to be paid. So just email Student Services and say to the advisor you want some budgeting help. He or she will help you whichever way, social media, call you, email you, but do that. Don't just sit there and think, gosh, what am I going to do with my money? There are people there who will help, so pick up that phone, that email or whatever, and get in contact with us. One of the issues for quite a lot of students at this time of year is, gosh, I haven't had a final notification yet. Am I going to get my money? Am I going to get my money? And then the frustration kicks in and you've spoken to student loans a lot. But what you can do is ask one of the student advisors at Brighton to do this on your behalf. What you need to do is call student loans, tell them that you would like a student advisor to speak to them, and give what we call consent to share. That means you will have to give the advisor's name, the address of the university, and then you'll get a password. And that password you pass on to the student advisor with your customer reference number. Tell the student advisor, I'm really frustrated. I don't know what's going on. I'm really concerned about not having my money at the beginning of term. And your student advisor will call on your behalf. But just make sure that the student advisor does have consent to share. Otherwise, data protection doesn't allow us to speak to the student loans company. A good tip is that maybe you haven't had your service mail, where you haven't had a letter in the post yet saying how much you're going to get. But what the student loans company often do is put all this information online for you. So do check your online tracking, I would say on a weekly, if not every 3 days. Check for any updates on there, but do that before you actually call the student loans company, because the answers to some of your queries might already have gone onto your online tracking. So I can't emphasize that enough. If you don't have a passport, I have to tell you that you do need some means of identification, because without identification, you will not get your money paid. It's the same as your national insurance number. So the two things you really need: identification, a passport, a driving license won't do, and your national insurance number. But if you haven't got a passport, don't dash off and pay that £80. What you need is your original birth certificate, and you need someone to verify that this is your birth certificate. You will find forms on your online tracking or on direct.gov called identification forms. You will need to get those signed. My tip is, if you've just come from college or somewhere in education, one of the lecturers will know who you are, have seen you, and they will sign that for you. It needs to be someone who also has a passport. And my great tip is that don't sit there and worry and get all frustrated. Email your student advisor, phone your student advisor, and we're also up to using social media today. So choose the method that suits you to communicate. Contact one of us and we will get back to you immediately. And if it is social media, that's really good. Don't worry, we are able to contact you that way, or email. But don't just sit there and worry all the time. We're here to help.